So we're back, it's after the Masters, the golf season started, and it is time to come back to our head-to-heads. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we look to test the T200 against the Ping i530. So we've got T200 from Titleist and we've got the Ping i530. Now, this is going to be an interesting test for me. Two very interesting irons. We've had this put in our comments before that you want to see a head-to-head of these two irons. Last time I did a review on the i530, it got absolutely battered online. The numbers weren't stacking up and so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting to re-look at this today. This is a forged product. It's only been out a couple of months now from Ping. It's one of their products that really doesn't sit in their what I would say sits in their mass market. The G430 range would be their mass market, but this gives it to a player that wants a more of a forged feel, a softer feeling iron, wants a ping, likes a ping, but wants something that hopefully will be hotter off the face. That's what Ping say this iron is going to do. T200 though, that has been out since last August time, August, September, and it's been a reflash of the previous 200 models. It's a popular model. You've got something that's got, again, a forged face. So these irons are very similar in construction, very similar in look. I know you've got the shiny chrome versus the kind of dull satin look of the Ping, but overall these two, if you were going into a fitting, would be a good sort of comparison. So putting them head to head on TrackMan is certainly going to be interesting. Remember, when I'm doing these videos, I'm not really going to get too deep in this one's better performance than this one based purely on numbers. For me, this is going to be subjective. I want to give you a little bit of an insight of how I think this looks and where I would go, and maybe what type of handicap you want to be or type of ball flight you want to produce with these two irons. And let's just see what the numbers say as well. So it's time to get into it. I'm going to start with the i530. Here we go. We have got the Ping i530 iron. I've tested this now. For transparency, I've got Nippon Motors X-Flex in this, so I've got it in the T200 as well. So we're trying to compare as much apples with apples as possible. Overall, the i530 is definitely a nuanced iron in the Ping range. I've said this before. When you lay it down, it looks nice, it looks clean. It's got a nice thickish, for this style of iron, because I'm going to get comments if I say it's a thick, chunky bat, but for this style of iron, it is a slightly thicker top line. It's not like a blade. Although it looks like a blade from the back, it isn't a blade. This thicker top line gives you that little bit of confidence when you lay it down. And I think when you get the longer irons, I've got a 7 iron here, but when you've got the longer irons, the 4s and the 5s, it would definitely give you a bit of confidence. It frames the ball exceptionally well. They do that very well with all their irons, I will say. This slightly different shade of colour between the actual face and the hitting area and the toe and the chrome on the outside is a great way of framing the golf ball. And as much as we can really get into the technical elements of these clubs, for me it's about giving you an idea of what this might look like if you're going to go and hit it in a test. Because when you're hitting on it in a custom fit, you're not really worried too much about what's in the head. You worry about what the ball's going to do, right? Like, does it perform? Do I like the look of it? Does it feel nice in my hands? When I strike it, does it feel good? So that's the kind of feedback we want you to have, and this kind of insight we want you to have, and my opinion on these irons. So let's stop talking for a second and hit some shots. That was nice. You can definitely sense, and you'll probably get this on the camera as well, that it's a nice solid feel. Some good yardage there, 174, my standard carry. Interestingly, the last time we tested this iron, the numbers were all over the place, and we may have not given this a fair reflection. And one of the reasons for that, it was an absolute gale force wind in, so it was absolutely holding it up. But 179 ball is coming out a little bit flat. for me. It's coming actually very flat. Wasn't expecting that. I know that's a bit thin. Let's try and get one at the middle. But it is quite a low ball flight. Consistent though. Ping irons do that really well. That was better. That was a better strike. Bit pulley, but I'm going to get a bit more yardage, I think, because it was a bit pulley. But yeah, 182. So even with that pull shot, what is very, very interesting for me is that the yardage, the consistency of those yardages, and I hit some really ropey ones in there, a couple of really ropey ones. The consistency of the carry yardage was really, really solid, right? It didn't jump, it didn't drop off too much. And I think that's the type, this type of iron, the player that may want to play this type of iron is looking for something that looks sleek but needs a bit of forgiveness. And I've certainly tested that with those few shots. So one more with the 530, and then let's get the T200 involved. That was a nice strike. It's a really solid click when you hit a ping so well. It's really nice. Yeah, same yardage again. So decent spin rates, decent land angle there. And Ping do that exceptionally well as well, right? The land angle's up above 45. So for me, that's really good. Although I felt that, and I've said that they've come out a bit low, that's just because I'm used to popping the ball really, really high in the air. A couple of them shots were really ripped. They were really penetrating, but they've maintained the land angle. And that's something that I want to see in an iron. If you watch some of the previous fitting videos I've done, especially when we had Lee and we went down to TaylorMade, one of my problems with my own clubs is how flat I can hit the golf ball in terms of the land angle, how low it comes in. So it can go a long way, it feels like it goes really high, but it's actually coming in like a bullet. Overall, the i530 is a really, really good line, but now it's got to be tested against that T200. So let's add the T200 to the mix. So when we lay them down, let's go first impressions first. When you lay it down, the T200 does look like a smaller head. From heel to toe, it does look a little bit more compact than the 530. Obviously, you've got the colour change as well. You've got a chrome head, a very shiny chrome Titleist head, if you like, against this satiny style finish of the Ping. You've got the difference in the bottom groove as well. Now, some people like that, some people don't. Titleist are very traditional in the way they do their grooves. There's no markings, there's no line. Ping add this little white line at the bottom, and some players like that to help them square the face up. They find it easier to square the face up. Overall, it's a slightly smaller iron. Top line actually looks quite similar, to be fair. I'd actually say from above, just sort of playing with it there, the T200 is probably looks slightly thicker. But that may be just an optical illusion, the chrome versus the satin. So, let's stop messing around, let's get this T200 in and let's hit a couple of shots. Same shaft, so Nippon Modus X-Flex. Oh, that's quick. That was a lot higher flight. Wow, a lot higher flight. Little bit shorter in carry there, a little bit shorter in carry. Oh, nutted that, absolutely ripped that. I mean, it nearly fell over, but that was lovely. I like the sound of that, right? 183, I mean, I pulled it a little bit so it's gone miles. That was a much better hit. There's the skinny one. Now that's an interesting one because I hit that thin with the Ping, right? Let's see what the drop off is. By the way, that wasn't on purpose. I said similar sort of thing, no real drop off in terms of the yardage. So these irons are both very, very forgiving. Very forgiving. Great look. Great feel. I mean, what I do like is I think I'm earlier on the way on the way it looks. I think I'm edging towards the Titleist, but again, that might be a little bit of a bias because I do like the chrome finish and I'm used to that. So let's hit a couple more. Oh, there's a fat one. Why can I not do a review or a head-to-head without hitting one so fat? Half the mat's gone down the range. Unbelievable. I mean, there you go, 160 carry, I've almost missed it. Come on, let's hit a good shot. A better strike. Yeah, I like that, really like that. 170 carry. I think what's interesting is there is a little bit more, it might be the way I'm hitting it, but with the Titleist it definitely feels like there's a little bit inconsistency in the distance control between the good and the bad hits. I've hit there 183 and I've had a drop, alright, exclude the fat one that was 160, but I've had one that's dropped off. The average, this kind of 7 out of 10 strike has dropped off to 170. So between the good and the bad, there might be 10, 12 yards, which for me is a bit dangerous. I feel like I'm going to miss a lot of greens doing that. So they're both very, very good irons. They both look really good. It's a real tough head-to-head this, because I think if you were asking me which one would I put in my bag, I could flip a coin and play with both. I think it would be that easy, but we don't do it like that. We've got 5 points and we have got to go head to head on those 5 points, so let's have it. So here we go, head to head, which iron wins on our 5 categories. So we've got look, feel, price, custom options and overall performance. So let's start with the look. As I said earlier, both irons look very similar. There's obviously the difference in the colour. This is purely subjective and this is a personal preference. For the look, because I like the chrome sleeker finish, I'm going to give that to the T200. It's a very close one, that, because overall they actually do look really similar from the top. But the slightly smaller head is my preference, so I'm going to give it to T200. In terms of feel, now that is interesting because from a feel perspective, they're both forged. They both have forged face, so they feel quite similar in the way they do. There is a slight sound difference, which for me plays into the feel. A little clickier, firmer with the Ping, a little bit softer with the Titleist. I'm going to give that to the Titleist again, and that's just purely on my preference as well. In terms of custom options, well, they're both exceptional clubs. We do build these in the build centre. I'm not going to let that be a bias on this occasion. Ping are the kings and the leaders, if you like, of custom fit. They did it first. The amount of custom options are great. I'm going to have to call that a draw. In terms of price, now this is normally one that one wins over the other. They're 180 a stick each, right? You can't separate these clubs. So you can't say, well, they were about the same overall and I'm going to go that one because it's cheaper. Actually, they're exactly the same price. So look, that's a tie. Overall performance. So I think if I'm being honest with this type of iron for the type of player, the consistency and the forgiveness is critical. And the absolute thing that I noticed with the Ping iron over the Titleist was the consistency of carry distance when I hit it. So as much as I love the Titleist and I think it's a great iron, I think for overall performance, bringing all things in, bringing everything together and wrapping it up, that extra bit of distance control and consistency that I got out of the Ping iron, I think is going to make it edge. So for overall performance, I'm going to give it to Ping. So there you go, guys, there is our first head-to-head of the season over and done with, the i530 versus the T200, and the winner has been the Titleist T200 as a score of 4-3. Hope that was helpful, hope you enjoyed watching that. We have got some more heads-to-heads coming. If there's something that you want us to put up against each other that will help you understand or get an insight, or you want to ask a question and we can film it for you, give you my opinion on whether a certain iron's better than another or a driver's better than another. If you're looking to buy some new clubs this year, sometimes that's quite helpful rather than just be all tech speak. T200 has come out winner this time. Put your comments below on what you want to see us go head to head. Thanks for watching, and remember to hit that subscribe button right now.